So, welcome back to all of you to the present class. This will be the last class of the first chapter. In the previous class, we have already discussed what are the two types of sources: literary sources and archaeological sources. The first one, archaeological sources, already we have seen in detail with excavation, monuments, coins, paintings, and inscriptions. We have studied them thoroughly with regards to second PUC syllabus. With regards to second PUC syllabus, we will study literary sources, and this is again a 5-mark question as well as 1-mark questions are hidden in this. So, please keep in mind the authors and the books and the countries from where they have visited. And this has literary sources have a great impact on your history studies in the future classes, because these literary accounts time and again appears to you like a wonderful omens. So if you have learned in this class itself, it becomes easy for you to recognize them when it comes. So without delay, we will enter into the concept of literary sources. So it is written record, literary sources called as written records or books of past. Usually they are written on the palm leaves or barks of the trees, paper, later on. So you can see it is a written records of the past events or important events of the past. They are written. Where it is written and how it is written. So it is written on the palm leaves. You can see them. A picture has been pasted. And the barks of the trees. Later they developed papers. Okay, on that papers also it was written. This is called as literary sources. Let me make a note of it. Written records or books of the past, usually written on the palm leaves, and barks of the tree, later on the papers, are called literary sources. These literary sources are classified into two parts. The first one is indigenous sources. The second one is foreign accounts. Indigenous sources refers to the Indians who have written about our past events, records, everything that is together. It's called as indigenous. Foreign accounts for the foreigners who traveled, especially Huyen Tsang, Ibn Battuta, and again different people who have entered India and have written about India after coming to India. All comes under foreign accounts. It is a foreigner's writings and their records are called as foreign accounts, and the indigenous accounts or sources are Indians who have written about India from different perspective view. So for the first one, we will be taking indigenous literature. So the indigenous literature has been written by native writers. Native means those who are Indians. So they divided into the indigenous literature has been broadly divided into religious and secular literature. Religious literature and secular literature. Religious only in terms of religion, history, and the past events are written. Secular literature is about none other than religion. If the events are marked and written, are called as secular literature. So the religious literatures are usually written by Vedic rishis, Buddhist monks, Jain monks. So religious literatures have been written by 3 people. So the Vedic rishis, Buddhist monks, and the Jain monks too. So all these religious literatures as well as secular literatures are found in Sanskrit, Pali, Prakrit, and even some of them are found in Kannada. So I also can mention some other regional languages are also used. Therefore, I am using a word called etc. So the secular as well as religious literatures are found in Sanskrit, Pali, Prakrit, Kannada, etc. What are these secular literature? The secular literatures are found in various forms. I'm going to give you a forms, and afterwards I'm going to give you books. The forms like biography, drama, works on history, polity, science, maths, Ayurveda, and yoga. So all these are secular literature. So they are different forms they have been. The biography of some king or the important person, the dramas of that time, the historical works, the polity, it's concerned with politics and economics, the science about physics and astronomy, astrology, maths, so the Ganita, Ayurveda, the medicine, and the yoga. The secular literature focuses on the various aspects of existing society. See, man and his society does not have religion alone. He has other aspects to which the history marks as secular writings or literature. Both together, religious and secular literature provides us greater information to reconstruct our past Indian history. So let me take you, the indigenous literature has been divided into two parts, religious literature and secular literature. And in this slide, we are going to see only the religious literature. So as I said, there are three major religions that you can mark off in the history of India. That is the Hindu religion, Buddhist, as well as Jain. So I am taking the Vedic or Brahminical literature, They are written by the Vedic rishis and they are written in Sanskrit languages. What are the texts that are belong to Vedic religion? The Vedas, Aranyakas, Puranas, the epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata. Still more are there, the PUC books ends there only. They give this Vedas, Aranyakas, Puranas and Ramayana and Mahabharata gives us a lot of details or informations about the social life of man, religious life of man, and the spiritual and philosophical life of Aryans at that time. So afterwards we have Buddhist literature. They are developed by Buddhist monks, whereas Vedic literature is developed by Vedic rishis, here Buddhist monks. And the language you see is Pali language. The Buddhist monks used Pali language, whereas Vedic rishis followed or they brought forth Sanskrit language. So what are the holy books of Buddhism that are written there? Three Pitikas and the Buddhist Jataka stories. Three Pitikas, Vinaya Sutta and Abhidhamma Pitikas are the three Pitikas of Buddhism, the holy books of Buddhism, and the Jataka stories. This stories and three Pitikas gives us a detailed information regarding the Mahajanapadas that existed before the Mauryan Empire and many cities of ancient India, and especially the Mauryan kings Ashoka, Bindusara, and his great grandfather, that is Chandragupta Maurya. So all the Buddhist writings gives us details about these Mauryan kings too, and other kings also. Jain literature, again developed by Jain monks, they used Prakrit and Kannada language, whereas Buddhists used Pali languages. The Vedic rishis used Sanskrit, whereas Jain monks used Prakrit as well as our Kannada language. So the Jain texts are also written in these languages. So there is a text moving there to the end. Anga, A-N-G-A-S, Angas and Upangas, the religious texts of Jainism. Angas and Upangas of religious texts are written in this language, Prakrit and Kannada, by Jain monks. So some of the Jain monks or scholars, you want to know their names, are written there and you can hear them. Prabhu Nandi Vidyanandi, Gunabhadra, Ajita Senacharya, Pujyapada. Some more are there, but textbook mentions some of them. So, Prabhunandi, Vidyanandi, Gunabhadra, Ajita Senacharya, Pujyapada, etc. All these scholars and all their writings throw light on the social and political condition of that times where they have written this literature. So from moving on to the religious to the secular literature, we have said different forms are there. All the 8 forms I have mentioned. One is the biography. Some of the biographies you can see in the history as secular literature is Ashwagosha wrote Buddha Charita. Ashwagosha wrote Buddha Charita. Bhanabhatta wrote Harsha Charita. It is about Harshavardhana. And Chand Badai wrote Prithviraj Raso. It is about Prithviraj Chauhan, the great king of the Delhi and Ajmer. The Bilhana wrote Vikramanka Deva Charita. Vikramanka Deva Charita written by Bilhana. It is Vikramaditya VI, the king of later Chalukyas, of kings of Kalyana. It's a great king, Vikramaditya VI. So about him, a biography has been written by Bilhana. The name of the book is Vikramanka Deva Charita. There are dramas, plenty of drama books are there, but a famous one written by Kalidasa, the Abhignana Shakuntala. Shakuntala. Kalidasa wrote Shakuntala. It's the best example of drama. Historical works you can see, the Kalhana wrote Rajatarangini. There are many historical books, but one book that has been mentioned in your textbook for your reference, the historical book, one of the ancient literature which is purely of history book is Rajatarangini, written by Kalhana, a Kashmir poet. The polity. So one of the ancient texts of India which speaks about polity is Kautilya's Arthashastra. Kautilya's Arthashastra. Science books written by Aryabhatta. There are many more, but Aryabhatta is one of the major one. So he wrote Surya Siddhanta and Aryabhatiya Romaka Siddhanta. Surya Aryabhatiya and Romaka Siddhanta. Maths. Some of the maths books in ancient India are Rajaditya wrote Kshetra Ganita, Vyavahara Ganita and Leelavati. So Suryaka Siddhanta, it is, the spelling have made little turnover here and there. The Ayurveda, which about medicine, 2 people we have to mention their names. Charaka wrote Charaka Samhite, Shrushruta wrote Shrushruta Samhite. Charaka and Shrushruta are the 2 great Ayurvedists. They wrote about the Ayurveda, that is their Samhites. Therefore it is Charaka Samhite and Shrushruta Samhite. Next one is Yoga. The father of yoga is Patanjali and he has written Astanga Yoga. All these books focuses on the various aspects of then existing society. Differently they are mentioning or showcasing the society of India, past India. And finally, the foreign accounts I'm getting into. The foreign accounts, the foreigners have written their foreign accounts. Why did these foreigners entered India? The fertile land of India, the wealth and the intellectual capacity of India, the philosophy of India attracted many travelers and versatile peoples to this land of heaven or the abode of heaven. This land of heaven, India or Bharat, attracted the foreigners because of its rich fertility of land, the richness in the gold, diamonds, rubies, the intellectuals who have developed their science, yoga, mathematics, vagera, and the philosophy of India, which has attracted even Alexander. So all these attracted many travelers. They made their entry into this India. How did they enter India? They entered India for different purposes. One of such is traders, the others are students, and some entered India as pilgrims, philosophers, and finally there are many entered India as invaders. That's the beauty of this country, which has invited various types of foreigners for various types of purposes. All of them left behind the records, impressions, what they felt about India, and also they wrote about their opinions that they have noticed about India. So what is the merit of their writings? So this is like a primary account or primary detail. It's not an Indian who boasting about Indian history. It is a foreigner who gives a credit to this great land of India from the past. So therefore, sometimes when our history doesn't have any information or lacks information, we can quote this information from the foreigners because they have mentioned about an event from their point of view. But along with that, there is a demerits also. It is very difficult for the foreigners to understand our language, culture, tradition, because these travelers and philosophers or students or the scholars who stayed for a shorter period of time, they could not understand the large complexities of Indian culture. They could not understand our languages completely, our tradition, our way of dealing, our root causes of thinking, all that they could not understand completely. They lack a complete sense, but they have a good sense of Indians, but they lack complete sense of it. That's what the demerit. Some of the historian records. So first I'm mentioning 4, other 3 I'm mentioning afterwards, and later little more writers. These all European travelers visited India. The first one is Megasthenes, Greek ambassador, came as Greek ambassador from Greece, and he has written an account called Indica. So there is a 1 mark question. Indica was written by Megasthenes. This Indica gives us a valuable information regarding the South and North India during Mauryan period. Especially the Megasthenes visited India as an ambassador of Greece sent by Seleucus during the time of Maurya, Chandragupta Maurya, who is the founder of Mauryan dynasty. Next, we have Ptolemy, a Greek historian, came from Greece again, and his account is geography. 1 mark question, remember. Ptolemy wrote a book called Geography. This geography supplies a very good detailed information regarding the commercial relationship that ancient India had with Europe. So, how India had its commercial trade transaction with Europe, that has been mentioned. There is an unknown author from Greece. He has written a book. We do not know the author of this book, but we know this person is from Greece. The book named as The Periplus of Erythraean Sea. The Periplus of the Erythraean Sea. This particular book gives us the important coastal towns that had economic relation or trade relation with India as well as Europe. The towns and the rulers and the products that India had at the time, and who are the rulers who were encouraging the towns, details, every detail of ancient coastal towns and the European towns were mentioned in this book. This is a particularly very commerce ancient book of India. Next one is Pliny, a 1 mark question. He is from Rome, a writer from Rome, and his book is Natural Historia. So Pliny wrote a book called Natural Historia. Last year also we have heard about him. This book, Natural Historia, gives the idea regarding Indo-Roman relationship, trade relationship, as well as political relationship and the political conditions of India. The Pliny's book is a wonderful, marvelous book that is from Rome to India. The other 3 Chinese travelers visited India at various points of time and saw various other events and wrote about India. The first is Fahian. He came to India as traveler or pilgrim person from China, wrote in a book called Go Ko Ki. Go Ko Ki. So he visited India. Fahian's famous book is, account is Go Ko Ki. Visited India during 5th century and gives us the details about Gupta Empire and also a vivid picture about Ashoka's palace and Gupta's administration. He was a foreigner who has given a very elaborate detail about the palace of Ashoka and cities of Mauryan time as well as Guptan time, and especially about the Guptan administration. Next we have Huan Sang. Huan Sang. He entered India as a traveler and became a student in India in the universities of Nalanda, and also later he became the professor there, and a very good friend of Harshavardhana and later on Pulikeshi. He also traveled from China and written a book called Si-yu-ki. Si-yu-ki. Visited India during 7th century and he was in the court of the great two kings of that time, that is Harshavardhana, who was the Uttarpateshwara, and Pulikeshi, who was known as Dakshinapateshwara. Thus, Si-yu-ki gives us a vivid means clear picture of the education, religion, society, administration, and mentions about everything that he has seen of that time. And especially the battle of Narmada and the defeat of Harshavardhana has been mentioned clearly. Though he was a friend of Harshavardhana, he has left us a complete details about this battle and the defeat of Harshavardhana. So where the confusion for most of the historians has been solved because of this book. Itzing, a traveler from China again. We do not have the account of him in the second PUC textbook. Visited India in the last decade of 7th century. Gives us information regarding the various cities like Rajagriha, Kashi and Nalanda. He gives us details about few cities of India like Rajagriha, Kashi and Nalanda. He visited India in the last decade of 7th century. Later we have foreigners, especially Islam writers or Muslim writers. First with Babur. He is a Muslim writer. He is an historian. He came from Afghanistan. He was a ruler of Kabul, entered India and won India in the battle of Panipat, the first battle of Panipat 1526. And he has written books, Shahnam or Babarnam. It is called as Tusuki Babari. Tusuki Babari. The second one is a writer named Abul Fazl. Abul Fazl, who was in the court of Akbar, he wrote about Akbar's autobiography named as Akbarnam and Aini Akbari. Akbarnam and Aini Akbari. Abul Fazl was a Muslim writer as well as an historian. Next we have seen some of the writers of Islamic age, that is Suleiman, Al-Biruni, Ibn Battuta. All of them are travelers from Arabia, so Arab, and gives us a valuable information about Indian history. So we are going to see them and their details in the next classes, yet to come a greater notion of them. Next we have travelers from Russia, Portuguese and other parts of India to Vijayanagara Empire and Bahmani Sultan. Some of them I am going to mention, and there is a detailed study about these foreigners, travelers to Vijayanagara and Bahmani Sultan, and a 5 marks question you have in Vijayanagara Empire. But a small detail, a note has been given now itself. Abdul Razak of Persia, Niccolo Conti of Italy, Domingo Pace and Barbosa from Portugal, Nectin of Russia gives us valuable information regarding Vijayanagara Empire as well as Bahmani Kingdom. So all of them visited these two kingdoms, Vijayanagara Empire and Bahmani Sultan Kingdom. So one is Abdul Razak from Persia, Niccolo Conti of Italy, Domingo Pace and Barbosa from Portuguese or Portugal, Nectin, a Russian who visited this Vijayanagara or Bahmani Sultans alternatively, but gives us details about this complete South Indian great empires or kingdoms. With that, we are ending the unit. So please remember, there is a 5 marks question. Please prepare. This is a note for you. So there is no separate notes for you. This is how you have to write down point wise. So write a note on the contributions of foreign writers in constructing the Indian history or history of India. This is a fourth 5 marks question. Write a note on contributions of foreign writers in reconstructing the history of India. So we have completed. I am going to post you tomorrow the 1-2 marks question answers, and you have to buy a 200-page note, long book, and write it down. Within Sunday, you have to submit me online by making a PDF format. Not only 1 and 2 marks, but also 5 marks questions. There are 5 marks questions that already we have discussed. So with that, we are going to end the session. Have a nice time and have a nice day.